People always ask me, how many headphones do you have? And I tell them, I don't know. The STAX SR Gamma Pro is what is known as an electrostatic headphone. As such, it cannot be powered with normal headphone amps. One look at the 5 or 6 pin plug will tell you that much. This must be inserted into its counterpart energizer unit. In this case, we have here the SRD7 Mark II. This energizer gets its power directly from the mains, but there are other energizers like the SRD6 SB which get their power for energizing the headphone directly from the speaker output of a speaker amp or receiver. The role of the energizer is to literally energize the diaphragm of the headphone with a strong negative charge, which is commonly known as static electricity. The secondary role of the energizer is to rapidly alternate the polarity on the two stators on either side of the negatively charged diaphragm. This rapid alternation of polarity causes the negatively charged diaphragm to be rapidly repelled from the alternating negative stator, which in turn moves air, creating sound waves. The SR Gamma Pro was primarily advertised as the smallest and lightest headphone, or ear speakers, as they're also sometimes called, in their Pro lineup, especially in reference to the larger Lambda series. Here I have a German STAX catalog from 1989. Let's read an excerpt about the SR Gamma Pro. Der SR Gamma Pro ist der kleinste und leichteste Ohrlautsprecher aus der Pro-Serie. Besitzt eine hauchdünne Membran from 1,5 Mikron dicker. These come with an extremely flimsy feeling plastic headband. The saving grace, however, is knowing that despite its apparent low quality, the age of the unit speaks for itself. This copy is very likely 33 years old. However, the SR Gamma Pro was originally said to have been released in 1985, and this headband is still fully functional, and the only maintenance one might perform at this stage is a suspension strap replacement due to stiffness or the velvet coating crumbling off. The only logical conclusion, therefore, is that this utilitarian design of function over form and weight-saving measures is an understated success. The same can also be said for the driver capsules and cable. STAX found a formula in the 1970s which they still largely stick to today. This results in a lightweight and largely comfortable headphone that with a little bit of care is seriously built to last a lifetime. The first thing you will notice is that the tone is very light, airy and thin. Without any tone correction, I can't stand these. The treble is piercing and the bass has no weight. I would strongly recommend plugging your energizer into a vintage receiver with good tone controls. A hefty treble reduction and bass boost was needed for me to reach a tone I was comfortable with. After performing those minor corrections, the second aspect of the sound hits you like a fresh breeze. The timbre is superb. It could be described as something like a hypertimbre, where instrument realism is cranked to 11. This could be analogous to increasing the sharpness of a photograph. It's difficult to know if this is exactly true to life or just a psychoacoustic artifact from the forward low treble around 7 to 8 kHz. Either way, this combination of forced detail and extreme transience is something you almost cannot find with any other transducer type, unless you have very deep pockets. I have only ever experienced a similar flavor with the extremely high-end planar headphones like the TNA Solitaire P. If anyone at TNA is watching, please send me one for review. Alright, let's pull up a graph. If you like seeing these graphs, take a look at my database. It currently has over 360 frequency response measurements. You'll find a few IEM and earbud graphs, but the main volume is vintage and modern full-size headphones with frequent updates. The link is in the description. Back to the graph. It actually looks fine. How could this kind of response need much, if any, correction? I don't know, but that's the reality of frequency response graphs. You can never fully trust them. It actually looks better in some ways than my AKG K501 graph. But I can listen to my 501 without any tone correction. It sounds correct, as it is. The SR Gamma Pro's 7 to 8 kHz range and treble in general desperately needs taming, and the bass needs a hefty boost to reach a warmth that sounds correct to my ears. Now, treble correction here's fine, but the main drawback of adding a bass boost is that in most electrostats you will very likely also introduce distortion. Electrostats are famous for having extremely fast and tight bass, and this can also be considered a weakness of the electrostat transducer by some people who prefer or require a bassier tuning. The diaphragms just can't perform the excursion required for the kind of bass we're used to hearing from common dynamic closed-back headphones. With the amping requirements, the extra space needed, and the more limited use cases of these headphones, I think the only people who might want to branch out into electrostats are those who already have very specific taste in music, like jazz, acoustic, orchestral, chamber instrumental, or folk music, would perfectly suit these. There is nothing in the modern budget hi-fi scene anywhere below €500 that can produce this kind of sound, and what it does well cannot be understated. Of course, if you listen to anything with a beat, then you can forget these for the most part. On the other hand, you may also just be very sensitive to strong bass, or you're a part-time treblehead, then the SR Gamma Pro, or STAX in general, might be something to look at. I'll see you in the next one.